Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Episode 2 of our special series in conjunction with the online replacement, substitute, COVID replacement for the East Coast trade shows, your maritime boating and outdoor digital marketplace. This week, as we said last week, we had planned on a very special guest, so special that we couldn't even announce it right away. And unfortunately, that guest had to reschedule, but the show must go on. And luckily for us, we got some information that I think a lot of people are hungry for as we roll closer to the month of May. So, but before we get to this evening's guests, as always, joining me from, Lake Kinnisack or Kinnisack Lake, whichever order you put it in, just outside of Halifax, Mr. Matt.
Hey, Donnie.
How are you tonight, Matt?
It's Kinsack Lake, by the way, but that's okay. Kinsack. You can just say Kinsack, and it's all good.
Kinsack? Fair enough. So how are you tonight?
I'm great. Yeah, things are good. Some depressing news with the COVID situation here, but it is what it is, and But other than that, everything's good. Family's good. So that's all you can really hope for.
Yeah, the COVID front has definitely not been our friend as anglers hoping to cross borders this year, but it's still early. We're still in April, so let's keep our fingers crossed that our maritime community can sort this stuff out and, get those boats going back and forth across the border so we can hit up all the amazing fisheries that our region has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I know our guest tonight, if the bubble opens, they probably have some information that a guy like you just might be interested in.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have these guys on and chat stripers, especially up in Miramichi there. So, I want to take it all in. I'm here to take it all in.
You're here to take it all in, and you're just itching to get up there and see how sore your arms can be after a day on the water in the Miramichi.
Absolutely.
Without further ado, our friend, co-founder of the Miramichi Striper Cup, Mr. Jeff Wilson.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How you doing?
Doing great tonight, Jeff. How about yourself?
Well, I kind of feel like I was supposed to be a special unannounced guest, and I just kind of I feel so let down. Like I was.
I never said you weren't special. I never said that.
No, listen, I know we had planned on doing this a little bit later in the series, and it's probably a good timing, really, with us getting started here very shortly. So I'm happy to, rearrange some schedules and get some information out there to the fine folks on the Striper Cup this year. Planning a huge event, COVID safe, of course.
Well, and I think that's probably the best place to start, Jeff. I mean, with COVID, last year's event canceled. So many events, whether they be fishing events or anything that involved public gatherings last year, canceled. You guys have found a way. You are the largest, I'm going to say at the very least, largest fishing event on the East Coast. And I think you'd probably be splitting hairs to say potentially the largest in Canada. So how have you guys adapted and what changes will we see for the Striper Cup in 2021?
Well, we claim now to be the largest fishing event in Canada. Our last event, we had well over 1,500 people, generated over $7 million in economic activity, brought people from all over every province but Saskatchewan, I believe. So we claim it anyway until somebody disproves us. That's our mantra. But given the first thing we had to do was really make sure that the safety of our participants and the safety of the people, following public health and COVID was our utmost concern, and protecting our participants was the biggest thing on our mind. And of course, having an arena with 900 people in it, all having a few pops and talking prizes and everything was not going to follow this year for sure. So we really wanted to pivot and how do we have something that's safe, virtual, and really generate a lot of excitement for the Miramichi in a way that recognizes we're in the middle of a pandemic. So we looked at what we had run last year with the Atlantic Anglers Challenge and the My Catch app that we developed last year doing that, and the success of that app. And we felt that we could safely have our participants use that sort of technology and come up and enjoy the Miramichi, enjoy it within their bubble and their family, and participate in a great event. So that was the first thing that we did, was decide that something could happen, and that was really important to us. So we got a hold of the guys at My Catch, and we had a conversation, and we've decided that that's how we're going to run the event this year. So a little bit different without the team. We don't have that climax of that one, big weekend. So we're actually going to be running this for 4 full weeks this year, both an individual event and a youth division. So the individual event is open to 16 and over, or if you're under 16 and you think you can kick some butt around and you can pay your $60 and go in against all the adults too. But if you just want to fish with the kids, no problem. That's free, 16 and under. So it's we're pretty happy with that. That plan. We're going to have multiple categories, and we're going to talk about that, I'm sure, as we keep going along. But crazy, really.
So I guess, although you said you don't have that big in-person, in-the-moment climax, somebody, on stage winning that grand prize, but to stretch this out over an entire month, that really must open the door for an even bigger participation base than you would traditionally see.
Well, you guys have been involved in fishing for a long time, and dealing with great fishing brands and sponsors. You really spend a lot of time trying to understand how you can kind of get the money back for that, and bring a lot of participation to that. So yeah, we feel that we should be able to have a great event and a lot more people. So we've decided that we're going to do basically a number of different challenges through the week, through every 4-week period. So week 1 is a independent event. Week 2 is an independent event. Week 3 is an independent event. Week 4 is an independent event, as well, an overall event. So we're going to have a number of categories in those weeks. So, for example, week 1 is Shimano, celebrating a 100-year anniversary. So we'll be giving away about around $4,000 worth of Shimano products on week 1. So you can win the longest bass, the most number of bass, the cumulative length of bass, and a special prize for you, Donnie, the smallest bass of the week.
Perfect. I mean, wait, we have shared a boat before. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. So that'll be going on. So each week, those 4 categories are going to repeat themselves. Okay. And so we'll be doing that. The second week is the Garmin week. And so better fishing comes built in. So we'll be giving away 4 prizes for those categories from Garmin that week. And the third week is Berkeley. And Berkeley will be giving away 4 prizes for that category on week 3. And then on week 4, it's Penn. Let the battle begin on week 4. And again, those 4 categories, right? And so as well to that, every weekend on Saturday and Sunday, there's also a mystery event. So the Saturdays are sponsored by Bass Pro Shops, and they'll be giving away a $500 award to one of the mystery categories on Saturday. And on Sunday, we have Yeti, Born to be Wild, and that will be a $500 every Sunday. So it might be the cumulative length on a Saturday, the smallest on a Sunday for you, Donnie. Something along those kind of lines. And we'll be announcing that live on Facebook and on the radio and TV the week on the Fridays before. So it'll be kind of a little bit of a mystery. As well, we're having daily draws and such through Facebook. So we're going to have, hats and totes and those sorts of things that we're giving away through draws. But the most exciting part is for $60 to get into this event is our door prizes. It's unbelievable. So This year, we're giving away a $28,000 Princecraft with a 40 horsepower Mercury as the #1 door prize, just for entering. You don't even have to catch a fish, Don. You can actually go home skunked and still win. So the backup prize to that is a brand new 570 Polaris ATV from Patterson Sales and Service. So that's the backup prize. We have 2 XI5 trolling motors. We have 4 Rolls batteries. We've got prizes from Town Ford, Dorian Enterprises, or Dorian Outfitters, I guess. We've got stuff from all the sponsors. It's a smorgasbord of fishing brands, and we have 64 prize categories and that sort of thing. So each week we reset. So if you miss week 1, you're in for week 2, you're in for week 3, you're in for week 4. The other thing that we've decided to do is you're only allowed to win one particular category each week. So, somebody lives up in the Miramichi, gets a secret honey hole, they're not going to run away with all the prizes. They can only win once per week. And on the overall prizes, you're only allowed to win one overall prize. So we're actually paying $10,000 in cash for the top 10 longest fish, as well as some excellent overall prizes. I think the most bass, cumulative bass, and the smallest bass are all winning a brand new $2,500 Garmin unit if you happen to win those categories. So, the prize categories are excellent, and some just, I'm thrilled at the sponsors' participation that they've shown for us this year.
Yeah, it sounds like you've really, rallied the troops, so to speak. And I mean, all businesses in the fishing community have, come together and really thrown their support behind such an amazing event. You touched on a few values, Jeff. There was one number you left out, and I know it's got to be a massive number, but let's tell the folks watching at home, roughly, I'm sure it's not an exact number, but roughly what's the total value of the prizes you guys are giving away?
Thanks to companies like Miramichi Marine with the $26,000 boat, we're hanging pretty tight to about $50,000 this year in sponsor prizes and cash and stuff. And I'd say that's pretty light, really, when you take, 26,000, 10,000 ATV, 10,000 in cash, 5,000 a week, Bass Pro. It really adds up quickly. But I mean, the thing that we really got to remember is the amount of opportunity. So if you're under 16, you're in for free. Bass Pro Shops is giving away, in conjunction with Penn, to the top 10 youth. Everybody's getting, I think, a $50 or $100 gift card and a Penn rod and reel as a giveaway to the top 10 youth. And it doesn't cost anything to get in. You get on My Catch, or you go to the stripercup.com and get entered, and you're ready to go.
Okay, I've seen a couple questions pop up, Jeff. One of them, you just mentioned stripercup.com. All these details will be up on your website in the not too distant future, I assume?
Yes, we have a QR code. We're actually putting, I believe, 10 billboards around the city of Miramichi. So every time you go to launch anywhere in the Miramichi, our billboards are going to be there with our fantastic sponsors and a QR code. So you basically put your phone over the QR code, hit the scan. It's going to take you right to My Catch app. You enter your tournament, pay your money, and then you start entering your fish. Now, remember, it might be the most amount of fish. So every single fish you catch, you get up, you log it on, you put that fish in. You never know what's gonna create the win for you.
Now, we don't have the QR code there, but the link, the Angler's Atlas link direct to the Striper Cup, is up in the comments. So for those of you watching at home, you can follow that link. It'll take you right to the Angler's Atlas Striper Cup page. And the other question, you touched on it earlier, that people don't even have to catch a fish. If the bubble doesn't open, does that include, say, someone from PEI who wants to register?
It doesn't matter
just to get a shot at the door prizes?
Yeah, the door prizes are open to anybody that pays the $60 and enters the tournament. whether you catch a fish, you get the fish or not. Those, I mean, unfortunately, as a co-founder of this and a co-host, I'm not allowed to enter. But $60 to take a shot at a $26,000 boat from Miramichi Marine, or a beautiful ATV 570 Polaris from Patterson's Sales and Service. It's like, I can't believe it. Like, that's, that just shows a community support that we have in the Miramichi. We actually told some of our sponsors this year that no, we don't want your support this year. We had some,
that's
not a lot of events.
To have.
Pardon?
That's a bad problem to have. That's terrible.
Well, what I thought was, what a terrible year for our hotels, our restaurants, our breweries, all those sorts of things. And the Days Inn has been a partner for us for many, many years. They wanted to come back in. We go, look, you're in. We don't want anything for you. Thank you for being there for the last 5 years. And we'll talk to you guys next year. But right now, we'll just keep you in. It's the same thing we did with like the new Maritime Beer Company and those types of things. So a lot of those, the Rods Inn, all those types of places, we didn't ask anything of those people. They've just been great supporters for many years. And so we didn't want to, we don't want any of their, during this period of time, it's been really tough on them.
It definitely has. And excuse me, supporting local has never been more important. And it's great to see you guys giving that support back to those local businesses in particular. You've mentioned Miramichi Marine a few times, and we're talking about local businesses and supporting local. I think it's only appropriate that we do have a fourth musketeer hanging out backstage right now. I think it's a great time to bring him on.
I don't see him.
You don't see him? Well, if we get the right buttons pushed, you'll see him in just a second. Mr. Brian Gray, Miramichi Sport Fishing. They are the exclusive guide partner for the city of Miramichi, based out of Ritchie Wharf, and also pro staff for Miramichi Marine, one of the major sponsors of the Striper Cup. Brian, I'm gonna kind of just turn the corner and let Matt take it for a second. As someone from outside the Miramichi region, and you being, the guide, we'll let guide talk to guide for a minute and let newcomers figure out what to expect.
G'day, boys. Good to see us.
Yes. Thanks for joining us, Brian. So yeah, I mean, it's since I've met Donnie and some others from New Brunswick, all I hear about is Miramichi Stripers, and I know it's a different ball game up there than here. So if I'm coming to the Miramichi for the first time, I guess what are my expectations? What can I expect to happen? What kind of maybe gear should I bring along, or do I even need any? We just apply that. Or
if you're coming with me, you don't need to bring any gear. I've got everything for everybody. If you're coming to fish on your own, just pretty medium heavy rod, such like that, 30, 40-pound braid if you're fishing from a boat. If you're fishing from shore, roughly the same thing. And
that'd be Berkeley X9 braid, would it?
X9, that's what I run. Berkeley X9, yeah. I didn't know if I should plug that or not there.
Well, it could be Power Pro too, I guess. But
Jeff's got to get those plugs in.
Well, we're only giving away 60 spools of Power Pro this year.
And there's a ton of spots to catch fish. If you're fishing from shore when things are going good, there's fish everywhere. Like for the people that are coming up to fish from shore, and boats, you won't have a hard time to find the fish because every given weekend there's 100 boats on the river pretty well there. You just got to find the spot where there's tons of fish and there's not a pile of boats around. That's the key.
Brian, would it be fair to say that if you follow the fellow with the Garmin live scope that you'd probably find fish?
I would say that's probably the fact, but I would appreciate it if they didn't follow me around. That'd be pretty good too.
Now, is it like a big stretch of water? Like, are you fishing a big area? Because I mean, I can only really compare it to Stewiacke. That's what I'm familiar with, and I mean, it's a small river system. You can basically cast to the other side. So I'd like how big of a system are you fishing? Like, what would you recommend for people who maybe put their own boat in? Let's just say on an odd day, there's no boats there to follow. what should they be looking for? So how big and what should they be looking for?
Oh, depending on what stage it is, like where the fish are. It's we got fish right from Red Bank to the Farewell Buoy, you may as well say, like the mouth of the river. But anytime in May, pretty well, you'll be right in the city, or you'll be working your way towards Red Bank. That's where they go to spawn, and they'll be along there somewhere. But there's a ton of fish around. Like they could be in the shallows. Like right now, a lot of them are in the shallows. There's some in the deeps, so you're getting some big schools in the deeps. But right now, it's because the water's still cold. There's quite a bit of shallow fishing going on right now. A lot of the fish. Sorry, what was that?
It's about 17 kilometers from like a fishable water. Like that's like when we look at the boundaries of the Striper Cup, which goes from as Brian said, the Red Bank Bridge down to outside of just outside the Barty Bog Brook. And we look at that, it's about 17.5 kilometers of water. Okay, so that's like if you just wanted to kind of, like, so you don't need a super huge boat, like you can, at the Striper Cup, we got guys with 9.9s and coolers and guys with fancy, bass boats with big fancy lunds going by and that kind of thing and whatever. But, then Mercury Motors, I had a fella go, geez, he says I seen this bad boat. It had like a 250 on it. Another guy had like a 300 Merc. Another guy with how fast are those bass? But as Brian said, you can stand on shore at Strawberry Marsh or up at the Logieville Wharf or over in Douglastown and catch 50 or 60 from shore, eh, Brian?
Oh, it's unreal. Like up Middle Island, just between Chatham and Logieville, like it's nothing to see 60 people, 70 people standing along the edge of the shore, out the causeway to the island and along the edge of the island. Like it's unreal. And it's real shallow in there, and there'd be a ton of people sitting there sometimes. And you can drive down the road in the truck and pass there and go to Logieville, and there'd be another 40 people sitting on the shore down there and on the wharf. Like
it's funny. 10 years ago, when I was up there fishing, I couldn't find a person. I literally had the whole river to myself, and I was wondering to myself at the time, like, where is everybody? And that's exactly how the Striper Cup started. Was I said I called the mayor at the time. Don't you guys like fishing bass? Like, you got something wrong with bass up here? I mean, literally, and that's where it started. And look where we've come, Brian. I mean, you're a perfect example of the economic development of what the Striper Cup has brought to the town.
She's come leaps and bounds, like in the last 10 years. Like it's hard. It's a big impact for the city. Like it's unreal. Hotels are full, restaurants are full. Like with the COVID now in the provinces, kind of the borders shut down. It's not quite the same, but it's great for the city. It's unreal how what did Jeff McTavish tell us was like the last year when we had the Striper Cup? I think it was overall like an $11 million influx to the city, just the striped bass for the spring. Like that's quite a thing. Well, and we got quite a good fall fishery too for striped bass.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah. I mean, striped bass fishery in general everywhere is just growing so fast. It's the same here. I mean, when I first started fishing striped bass, you'd have most of this river section to yourself, and now it's shoulder to shoulder. There's one stretch I fish now, and I mean, and this is not a word of lie, there was 100 people down that shoreline easily last year, and it gets busier and busier every year. People, social media helps get the word out, and people are seeing these big fish, and for the most part up here, a lot of it's bait fishing early, and it's very easy to fish. You get a rig, you get some bait. There's a guy that sells bait right on the river. There's actually 2 places to sell bait. And, it just word spreads.
We had fun last year. Brian and I were out. We went out in the fall, eh, Brian?
Yeah.
And we were doing some bait fishing, and I'm not a bait fisherman. Like to me, that I'm more type A. Let's go. Let's keep moving. So we caught some nice fish for bait, and these boys, no, you can't get them on lures. Anyways, I said, well, boys, I think we should try. And so we went upriver, and Brian, we must have got 100 on lure, didn't we?
I think so. And me and Rob there from Tangled Angling, we were in that Atlantic Anglers Challenge, and we were measuring all of ours. And I know you must have got 60 of the 100 because we were stopping to take a picture every time of every fish, and he's just sitting there hammering fish and hammering fish. What's wrong with you boys? How come you ain't keeping up? Well, we were taking pictures. That's why we weren't keeping up.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. About I got into the bait fish. I still do a little bit. Just, like I took my kids last year, so it's easy. I'll do a little bit, but I definitely prefer lures and fly fishing on top of that. And matter of fact, last year on multiple occasions, I've outfished like the freshest bait possible with a fly. So I think it depends on the fish's mood that day.
I hate to put a plug in here, but I have to say, when I had Garmin and learned the live scope, it was absolutely game changing, because when I saw fish there, I knew there was fish. And so what happened was it made me switch till I figured out how to make those fish trigger. Mm-hmm. Whereas before, when I saw a fish, maybe it's not really a fish, I move on. But now when I see a fish, and this happened just this past weekend, I was out in the water smallmouth fishing, and I saw the fish, and I had been getting them on jerkbait the week before, nothing. And I went through my, a bunch of different presentations, and then bang, all of a sudden it was the right presentation, and it was one right after another. And that only came due to the confidence I had in that live scope. Like it's incredible. And by the way, we're giving away a free live scope during this event this year, and 4 Echo Map Garmin's as well. They're actually Garmin. Is that one? Pardon me?
Is that one of the door prizes?
We have some. Yep, some are door prizes. But if you win any one of the
$60, then I'm paying my $60.
Yeah. No, Garmin's on. I think they donated. They're either platinum or bronze. Somewhere around $10,000 worth of gear they donated to this event.
No, awesome. Jeff, I saw a question pop up on the screen. How early do you think the spawn is going to be this year? We've had a fairly mild spring. Ice was out early.
So I can give you some scientific data on that. So as I set up the Striper Cup, worked closely with DFO and the scientists, got a lot of information. And so for 9 years in a row, spawning happened within 48 hours of the 25th of May. So with a 9-year period, so you could probably put a circle around the 25th this year and say, yeah, it's a little bit early. Let's say it's 2 days early or 3 days early, maybe about the 20th. I anticipated if we were doing the team event that we would be could be possibly right in the middle of the spawn. Year 1 of the Striper Cup was a very warm year, similar to this. The fish were all upriver. Every single year since then, they haven't been there. So, I would say that, it's going to be a bit early, but it's not an absolute temperature. It's not like it hits like smallmouth bass. You get that 60 degree, 61 degree, and bang, they start, right? With a striped bass, what they want to see is get to that 60 degree, but then they need 72 hours of continuous warming trend. And they have to have the appropriate flow of water. So that water flow of between 1.5 mile an hour and 2.4 mile an hour has to be perfect, because their larvae don't go down into the sand. They float and they hatch and if it's not the right flow and temperature, it won't work. So it kind of has both. A couple of those things have to work out. So you could have these warm, like last year, I think they started, then they stopped, didn't they, Brian, for a couple of days, and then they started again. Yeah. So, it's a little different up there, but, it's no problem catching bass. Like, they don't all spawn at the same time. The bar's open for the whole month. Not everybody's at the bar at the same time. That's basically the way to look at it. They're going to be coming and going, right?
Yeah. So. Now, are the fish actively feeding during this time?
That is up for debate. I've seen huge amounts of stomach content studies. Our striped bass research team, Dr. Avery and Dr. Richard Easy and his team from Acadia University are there every year. We were going to have a Canadian River Institute there to pump some stomachs this year. But if in most cases, their stomachs are empty, 80 to 90% of the fish, their stomachs are empty in the studies that they do. And I think that what you're getting is mostly a reaction, but of course, there's some feeding. But generally, I feel that once they start to spawn, like you'll see the spawning balls. I call it fish porn. It's spawning balls. And I see guys throwing at them, and that's just like, don't bother, right? Like that's let nature do its thing. You're better off coming back down river and looking at the fish that are pre-spawn or post-spawn. I believe some of the studies we saw that within 24 hours of them spawning, we have radio telemetry on some of the fish. Within 24 hours, they're actually out past Burnt Church. So they can move, they're saying some will move up to 20 kilometers in one tide and spawn and be back out of the river. So, there's a fair amount of information there.
That's interesting because our fish feed right through the spawn. You'll see them chasing gas, bro, like, all over the place. You'll catch them like right through the bait balls. Like, last year, May 26th was the first day they spawned, and you could see them chasing bait. They would spawn. You'd catch fish the whole day through. So that's very interesting.
That's why the school size is doing so well in the Miramichi. They're very focused on what they have to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, Matt, you got to understand those fish have to feed that much to get to be the size of a small Honda. So now, Jeff, you were talking about the fish. You were talking about the fish moving 20 kilometers in a tide. And that brings me to a potentially interesting question. Some people may find it boring. Because of the type of event you're running this year, you had mentioned boundaries and whatnot.
Yep. How
does the MyCatch app and Anglers Atlas, their platform, feed into this? Because what's to stop someone from catching, a monster Bay of Fundy striper and registering it as a Miramichi striper?
This MyCatch app, in order for the app to work, your GPS location services must be on. Even if your data is not on to transfer the picture, the app keeps all that information. So it's impossible for you to use the app and put it out and have something entered from another area. You can't also pull it out of the library. So you open up the app. In the app, you open up the camera, and then you take your picture. The app's got it. It's time, date stamped, and everything. So even for someone sharing a fish, like saying, oh, well, I'll take the picture, now you take the picture. The system, when our biologists get to look at that, they're going to be right in a row, time stamped. And what they do is we look at dorsal fins. The dorsal fin is a fingerprint of the bass. Every one of them is different. And so from my point of view, the security now is far better than it would have been when we used to do the shore division and the guy would take a picture with our little token. And, we've really gone up a big notch. But the number one thing that's super important is now our striper research people are getting really super good data. DFO doesn't know how many people striper fish. They don't know how many are caught. They don't know what the effort is. They have no idea about any of this sort of thing. And so when we did the Anglers Challenge last year, that was the whole point, was to get as much data as we could. So we anticipate between 10 and 20,000 fish to be uploaded into this database during the event this year.
That's a pretty significant number. Now, boundaries. How will an angler know if they want to make sure 100% they're staying within the boundaries acceptable for that event? Where are they allowed to go?
So on the Striper Cup, on the Striper Cup site, you'll see the boundaries are there. They've been the same for the last number of years with the Striper Cup, and the boundaries will also be on the MyCatch app, and the app will let you know if you're outside the boundary.
Oh, perfect. So the app, if you go to take a picture and you're outside, the app's going to tell you.
Yeah, it's going to show you that you're outside that picture. Yeah. So it's a pretty exclusive. It's a great app, right? It's, took Sean Simmons spent a lot of time getting this. And last year we had a meeting every single Monday, all through fishing season as a development of the app. So we're going to have people that'll offer you technical support. So if you're there and you're struggling with the app, there's going to be people available to help you through that. And we know there's going to be some of that. And that's why we really wanted those 4-week challenges, so that, if you get in and you're having struggles and everything. So lots of door prizes, lots of daily prizes to, encourage community support. We really want to get, the kids out there catching some fish and getting the pictures. Video games. It's a video game. It's to get them put in the app. So I think, Brian, you used it quite a bit last year, didn't you?
Oh, I used it a ton. Yeah, we were in that Atlantic Anglers Challenge, and 4 of us from Miramichi, I think, finished in the top 5 for overall length last year. And that's what I was going to ask you, being we're on here. Can you just use a regular measuring tape, or did you need a measuring board with a bump board for this?
You can use a regular measuring tape, but it has to be clear and definable. So you lay your fish down, as long as we can see the ends and everything clear and definable. Yeah.
Okay, because a couple of people were asking me about that.
Yeah. We would have loved to have bump boards that we could hand out to everybody, but they were like $20 each. We're only charging $60 to get in, so it quickly deleted the amount of money we had to provide these excellent prizes.
Yeah.
So but
the app, like you were saying, that app, it's very easy to use. After you get onto it, like after a fish or two, you got her all figured out. And
so when you go on there, you're going to see multiple species, for example, on the list. But as soon as you put in a striper, the first striper, the next time you go on the app, the striper is always going to come up at the top first. Or so it's pretty intuitive.
Yeah, that's good that it's going to be like that, because last year it wasn't like that. But that's nice that they got that updated for this year.
Yeah, it's like every time we were they were doing these. I mean, there's a lot of coding work behind these apps. Like it really truly amazed me. One of the difficulties we're having right now is to get the smallest bass as a leaderboard. So the leaderboard that we're going to have, when you log on, you're going to continuously see the leaderboards, but that's going to be cumulative for the whole tournament. So we're not going to reset that leaderboard every week because we just can't. It can't be done. So, but the data behind the scenes, no problem. So I can say, give me the guy with the smallest bass this week. That's 2 seconds. Give me the longest bass this week, 2 seconds. But what it's going to show you is the overall for the whole 4 weeks. So we'll see the cumulative, who's leading the cumulative, who's leading the longest, who's leading the most bass, all through the whole event. And so that should generate some some excitement towards the end as these guys try and hammer home. I think, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, it was like something like 4,000 centimeters of bass or something last year. What was the winning cumulative length? Like it was.
I thought it was over 50,000 centimeters.
Yeah, it was like
and
something.
Second place was 50,000. Like they were right there, the two of them. Yeah, it was Matthew from Miramichi Bay Outfitters and Rob from Tangle Angling. They were the two, and they stayed out there for hours. Like
they were committed.
Unreal. Yeah, it was just a battle.
So this year, because of what we put in the rules, is they're only eligible to win one part of the prizing. So, and that was why I put it in there. I caught on to these fellas from the Miramichi pretty quick, and I said, I want the other guys. So that was the other reason that we put the Saturday and Sunday challenges in. So, if you're coming up from St. John or up from Fredericton or down from Bathurst and you're just coming for the Saturday, you're going to compete with guys on the Saturday for a $500 prize or what have you. So that was great. And we were, as I said, we were able to get Bass Pro and Yeti to really step up and get those challenges. And I don't know if anybody had a Yeti mug or a Yeti thing, but it's the best thing in the world, the Yeti. It keeps your, drink cold or your coffee hot. Like it's awesome, right? So pretty happy to get those guys on board, right?
That kind of leads Jeff to a couple questions. One, is there any significant rules? Obviously, people are going to be able to find this information, but is there any significant rule changes or anything serious people need to really watch out for and do? I guess this comes back to rules, but you're allowed to fish with your family. This is a competitive event. Are you
Mhm.
allowed to fish with a guide? You talk about newcomers who have never been there before. Can someone call someone like Brian or Matt or one of the many great guides in the area and get
We
some
haven't
local help?
we haven't ruled out fishing with a guide or a host. Um, that's the it's a fun community event, and people want to come up, and we want, this is about economic development as well. So if I can add a little excitement to a Brian's business or one of the other guys in the area's business by getting them involved during that, I'm fine with that. He can't catch the fish for them. You got to catch your own fish. If you're in the Miramichi in May and you're pretty good. I mean, I have guests on my boat, and I'm not a guide. Well, I am a guide, but I'm not a guide. I don't guide people. I host them. Happy to take them on my boat, and I don't see any difference between me doing that and a guy like Brian, or a guy like you, Donnie, taking somebody out on a boat either. I mean, the only difference is whether you're charging money, really.
Yeah.
So it's a gray area, but we don't have anything in the rules about that.
Okay, so is there any? I mean, obviously, with going to individual category, not team category, anything that could catch experienced anglers who have fished the Striper Cup a number of times, anything that they really need to watch out for change wise?
Well,
Or
I
is
mean,
it
maybe
just
if they
learn the app and go fish?
Yeah, like if you're fishing from shore, like the eyes have to be clear. We look to see, make sure the fish is alive. You're not allowed to harvest a fish that you are entering, as we promote hook and release. A few things like that has to be a fresh fish. I mean, we have biologists looking. It's amazing what they can tell from a picture. It's amazing. We've disqualified many entries. The measuring tool must be clear and definable. Some of the entries, it might take a period of time to get them up on the board because each photo has to be looked at. So we have a number of staff that will be looking at that. So there could be, possibly a 24-hour delay for the leaderboard to get caught up. I think, Brian, last year it was pretty quick.
It was good. Coming towards the end, it was taking a little bit longer, but it was just the end of the season for everything, I think. So those people, but other than that, like at the very end, when it was coming to crunch time, we were really, really wondering what the numbers were. But up until the very last week, it was fine. Like it'll be great. I think they're gonna have a lot of work ahead of them. There's a lot of fish going to be entered and stuff. Yeah.
Well, Brian, last year you were guiding all through the fall, right? Miramichi Sport Fishing was guiding through the fall.
Yeah.
And you were bait fishing, and so a lot of the guys were getting into that. They were getting into the app at the time.
Yes.
And it was good. I mean, that was, when it comes to guiding, I think in the fall was when your guide business really picks up. You have to be a little more savvy in the fall.
And you got to be sitting on top of fish a lot more. Like you can bait fish from shore in the fall, don't get me wrong, but to get big numbers of fish, you pretty well got to be sitting out in a boat on top of them, and it's not like spring fishing at all.
Yeah. Well, it's like regular fishing. Spring fishing is unbelievable, and fall fishing is, it's like regular fishing. We're only going to get 25. Yeah.
That's a small day in the
terrible
25.
Yeah. No, for sure.
If someone like me wanted to come up there and I needed to get some gears, or what places are around the area? Is there any good tackle shops or places you would recommend for me to grab some gear?
Well, I don't know if you guys saw my video today, but I was up at Dorian Outfitters today and did a little video today. great. They open up there in the Miramichi. They've been actually a sponsor of the Striper Cup going since it began. And Mark Dorian and Ben Rankin, those guys have done a great job, and their store looks awesome. And they've done a great job. And I know that there's some other smaller tackle shops in the area have popped up. When we first went there was none. I think there was one guy selling salmon flies down in Doketown, and now I think there's been a number of tackle shops. But in terms of sheer volume and capacity, Dorian Outfitters is by far the biggest independent tackle shop in the province for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard nice things about Dorian's place there, and hopefully someday I can make it up there and check it out myself.
Well, they've got a location here in St. John as well, and they've got and they certainly, I think, have helped some of the local shops up there get some stuff. I know, Brian, you were involved a little bit last year with some, and I think Mark helped get them going, I think. So
yeah. Oh yeah, he's a good guy. Like, it's a good guy to shop, and he's a good guy to deal with, and he's just there to help everybody else, whether you're another tackle shop or you're just an angler, like, to help everybody.
Yep. And they've got a dock right behind their store, right on the river. So you can actually pull right up to the dock this year, and they'll bring the bait right down to you. So when you're on the river and you should go by the boat, and I show you this, purple wiggly wig, and I say, listen, go up to Dorian's, he'll meet you at the dock, bring him right down for you.
Let me guess, he's got the wireless debit machine that walks right down to the dock with him too.
It looks pretty savvy there today, and you can see him on the river with his new pink boat. His Prince Graph, he's got a Prince Graph similar to a little bigger than the one that Miramichi Marine's given away as the door prize, and it's got an anti-bullying message, and he's got pink jerseys and pink boat and a pink motor, and he sells a lot of pink lures, and so he's pretty easy to find, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say honestly, New Brunswick. At least I can't speak as much for Nova Scotia. My limited travels there, we saw a couple nice shops, but New Brunswick is really blessed with independent tackle shops between Mark's location in St. John, the one in Miramichi, Dan and Mike at Big Rigs. We're lucky we have Bass Pro, Bass Pro shops in Moncton. They've been in Dieppe, actually. Pardon me. Pat Guitar and her team down there have been big supporters of the Striper Cup since the very beginning. Great brand, and they have a lot of tackle and opportunity too for the Striper Cup. So, guy like you, Matt, coming up from Nova Scotia, it's right on the way. Load up, and they've had the Bass Pro guys have had a team in the event every year. They're big supporters, and that's that speaks a lot to the way we run the Striper Cup and the support that the mayor and council have given this event has made it a community event, and that's why we have more than one tackle shop as a sponsor and more than one fishing brand. And that was a great picture up there. If you see that picture, we've got right there, we've got the mayor, Pat Finnegan, the MLA, and David Lametti, the Attorney General there. And, of course, Paul Murdoch, that's his boat, Set for Life. Lisa Harris and Michelle Conroy, all on the boat. I make them take those tops down because the politicians got to get their pictures. But they're out there every year. We get the flare, 225 boats on a shotgun stock. There's nothing. You basically, if you don't get your that doesn't get your blood going, you're dead. You don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm.
So this is actually one of our award ceremony right there. So that's why we couldn't have it this year, because that is not social distancing.
Yeah. Well, there's a pretty good gap between those two, in the front.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say that the beer table or something was further back.
Yeah. Well, we have a great time, and the community just supports this thing. And, when we do that shotgun start, there's nothing to see 2,000 people on the shore, eh, Brian?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody gets up and go see that.
We're spending this year somewhere around $30,000 in media. radio, TV. I think coming up on the 29th, I'm on the CTV morning show. I'll be on the River 93.5. We've got, I think we've got something like 65 Facebook sponsored advertisements. So we're going to spend, I think we've got 10 billboards, 8x16. They're going to be at every launch. We've got a lot of 4x4s at some of the sponsor locations and that sort of stuff. So over at Miramichi Marine and down at Doran's and some of our sponsors. So, I think we're doing, and they'll have all our sponsor logos and the people that, hopefully our community will support those sponsors who, give up hard-earned cash, to provide some excellent prizes. If anybody's been to the Striper Cup in the past, and go up to the prize table, I mean, it looks like the biggest tackle shop you've ever been to. Like it's pretty amazing. It really is.
So,
that's actually Jeff McTavish and his daughter Katie. That's every year I always love taking out the kids and I think actually Katie said she only likes to go fishing with me because we catch something when we go with Jeff. He told her dad, and so we got some great pictures. But what does that tell you right there about kids, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Like great photo. You know what I mean? Is she excited or what?
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Oh man,
the kids in particular. I mean, I'd pay my $60, and you tell me that it's going back to the kids and that I don't have a chance of winning a dime. I'd be okay with that.
Oh man, last year we had made a mistake in the youth division and missed a picture, and we actually had a tie for first place, and the young lad we missed him. So after the event, I gathered up a bunch of prizes and drove to Oromocto to this young lad's house and met him after school and had a presentation right there at his house. And I loaded him up with prizes, way more than he would have got at the Striper Cup. I was totally embarrassed. The whole group was, embarrassed that we missed that. The students, we got students there trying to help out, and it's a pretty massive undertaking to pull this off. So we went down and he gave him his trophy, and that to me that just that's worth it all. That's worth all the work right there.
That's just a testament to you and your people that work with you, Jeff, and the type of event you run. I mean, let's be honest, there are events across this country that if something like that happened, they would just sweep it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen and not tell anyone the difference. But for you guys to step up and admit that there was a mistake and make it right, that's just, tip of the hat to you guys, because that shows the integrity of the event. So Matt was asking where to go if he's coming from out of town and arriving looking for tackle. Jeff, I'll ask you this question because, I wouldn't know any guides in the Miramichi. So if someone from out of town was looking for a guide, do you know anyone you'd recommend?
Well, if I thought really careful about it, I'm probably the guy that guy right there. No, Brian does a great job. I've been out with him, and he's got some great equipment there. So, and Brian's got a number of guide partners. So if he's busy, he can hook you up, Brian, with a number of other people. And one thing I keep telling Brian to brag it up. Brian's got Coast Guard approval, first aid. He fishes the New Brunswick Bass Tour. He's got the proper insurance. And he's a nice guy. Like that helps, but
and not too hard on the eyes either.
Oh, Fonzie. And do you guys know he's a professional singer too, eh? What's the name of that? The Bellatones or something, Brian?
Velvet Tones.
The Velvet Tones. So he can sing to you, bring the fish in, cut bait, whatever you need to do. Yeah. But there's this information on the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Brian's information scrolling across the bottom of the screen.
So Brian's team Miramichi Marine every year.
As Jeff said.
Yeah. Brian, Brian, have you... oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
Brian, how many days did you get on the water last year guiding?
I think between the spring and the fall, it was right at 75 days or something like that there. Yeah.
75 days.
Yeah, it was busy. The fall was super busy because the fish started early. Like we were getting fish under the Centennial Bridge August 31st, and it never stopped. We got fish under that bridge right until October 31st. Like that's
I was there in the middle of October, and every fish I caught had a haul. They all had hair lips because you've been hooking them every day. They're like your pet fish by the time.
Almost on a first name basis with some of them, yeah. Yeah, you're almost on a first name basis with some of them.
I guess that does lead to a question, or I guess a misconception that it seems a lot of people have. A lot of people hear about the Miramichi striper fishery and the stripe top. They think, okay, season open till maybe mid-June, and after that they forget about it. Brian, as a guide, would you suggest that people forget about Miramichi until after the spring is over?
Absolutely not. No, there's still stripers around, but you got to go looking for them. You got to go out, Betavin, Hardwick, out to the entrance to the river, and not every day you can go either because it's big water out there, and it can turn bad quick. But there's still fish around, and you're not going to get no huge numbers, but you can search around and you'll find some somewhere. But it's just to find them. It's not like it is in the spring and the fall, but through the summer there is fishing available if you wanna go and find them.
You're just
what's the average size fish I could expect to catch? Like what would be a big one on the Miramichi? What would be a big fish on the Miramichi? Like what's the average? Like what could I expect to catch as like an average size, or what would be a big one?
From right from schoolies to I've not personally seen them. I've heard 42, 43 inches. I've only heard of these Loch Ness monsters. I've not seen them. I've seen lots of 36 to 40s, but I've never seen too many that were that over that.
The last year we had the Striper Cup, the gentleman on my boat, we measured a 40-incher. That won the longest fish that year. What I've noticed over the last 8 to 10 years is the school bump has moved ahead. So they get the length, and that now I feel that that same length fish is getting heavier. So last year I noticed, like, Brian, or we'd be out and we'd be getting the, lots we always look at it as 30 inches plus, Matt. Like how many over 30 did you get? And we would get out and get maybe say 25 or 30 of those over 30-inch fish that day. And we won't even count the stuff that you got like, in the 20s, right? And you get hundreds of them. So, but when you start getting that 30 plus, the 35s, the 34s, the 36s, the 38s, you're getting a nice 15 to 20 pounder depending on that particular fish. But, it's nothing to sneeze home. Like the Bay of Fundy fish, when we fish them in the St. John River, you get a 30 pounder, they're nice big fish. I suspect you will see, because you got to remember, 10 years ago, well, they're still on the endangered list. Like this fishery, the striped bass is a protected species right now. We fish them under a variant order. And so, this is a recovering school. So, in 1995, there was only 13,000 of these fish left in the Northumberland Strait. Mm-hmm. So for us to see now probably somewhere between 300,000 and 400,000, it's going to take, they're starting to gain weight, gain strength. The fish are older. Mm-hmm. We went through a real peak where they got up to, some people say 1 million fish. They died off. Almost 2/3 of the fish died that year. So there's a lot of potential for, natural mortality here. But I think we're seeing, we're starting to see some bigger fish. I noticed really the fish, Brian, just in the last number of days, watching the Facebook Warriors there, I noticed some big fish already, like some pretty nice looking fish. I see Rob Langer from Tangled Angling. He put up a couple of nice ones, which is early. It's early for those, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the fish leave the river as soon as the ice goes out, do a little estuary feeding, wait for timing, in and out. You usually don't see them. It's just the schoolies that are in normally. So,
yeah, a lot of the fish I've been getting since the season opened on the 15th were schoolies. We had one that was 36 inches there. That was a nice fish, but most of them have been schoolies and some in the keeper size range, but most of them are smaller fish. Yeah.
The young males get to the barbecue early.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, as much as I know we could sit here and talk all night long, because God knows you and I have spent many, many hours talking fishing, we do have to start winding it down. So let's just touch again real quick on your registration, how people get involved, and how much it costs, where do they go?
Okay, well, yeah, let's just do that. So MiramichiStriperCup.com, our website will always get you there. Angler's Atlas will get you there to the Striper Cup. It's $60 to get in. That entitles you to the door prizes, which is Miramichi Marine's lovely Princecraft Resorter with a 40 horsepower Merc as the top prize, $26,000 prize. The Polaris 570 ATV from Patterson Sales is second prize, worth $10,000. We've got Motor Guide trolling motors, Rolls batteries, all that sort of stuff as door prizes, Garmin units. Then we have the 4 weekly events. So the first week is Shimano, 100 years in business. Second week is Garmin, better fishing comes built in. Berkeley is week 3, your fish, our science. And on the 4th week, it's Penn, let the battle begin. We have the Saturday specials, which are Bass Pro sponsored, and we have the Sunday specials, which are Yeti sponsored. So all this is free to kids under 16. And but for $60, you're in for the whole month and all the prizes, the door prizes, and everything. So really, it's a heck of a deal. So you get yourself up to the Miramichi, give the Miramichi striped bass. You will not regret it. And if you don't know where to go, give Brian a call at Miramichi Sport Fishing, and he'll take you out there. And then you come back with your boat and steal his business. Take everybody there, all your friends up there, that kind of stuff. But Brian's a nice guy. He'll show you around, and the river's pretty safe, eh, Brian? It's pretty. Like, there's some dangers there, but not too bad. Like it's fairly navigable.
It's pretty good. Yeah, there's some areas but if you stay in the channels and so learn the river slowly, you should work out fine.
So yeah, I think that's. I don't think there's too much others. Like I said, we'll have bulletin boards. The Facebook Live will be on the go. We're going to be on that quite a bit. So quite a media presence, Donnie, to get people information.
Yeah, well, and I think the changes, as much as I know we had talked, as Fish East, of putting 1 or maybe even 2 teams in this year. And I will admit I was looking forward to that because I have yet to participate in the Striper Cup. But I guess I'm going to participate in it this year. It's just going to be in a little bit different format, and I'm perfectly all right with that. And I can't thank you guys enough for what you do. Brian, once again, Miramichi Sport Fishing, look him up. He's one man with one boat, folks, but he's a good man to call, and he knows all the other men to call if his boat is already booked. So, Brian, thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you,
Anytime, my friend. And then Jeff Wilson, co-founder, Miramichi Striper Cup. Jeff, can't wait to see that new London person.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking to you again soon.
Hey, thanks, guys. I really appreciate what you guys are doing promoting fisheries here in the land of Canada. It's an awesome job, and keep up the good work. Okay, guys?
Definitely our pleasure. We'll see you on the water, my friend.
Cheers.
Take care.
Matt,
is the Atlantic bubble open yet?
Unfortunately, no, but I hope it does because I really want to get up there. Really, I had high hopes. It's not looking good right now, but you never know. You never know.
Well, I guess
Fingers crossed.
the one good thing for you as a school teacher is you have a little more flexibility in your summer.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So that is a definite bonus for you. But let's ladies and gentlemen, if anyone watching at home, let's all do our part, get this COVID thing under control so we can get that Atlantic bubble open back up because, we've got a lot of good friends that we want to spend time on the water with, and we've got a lot of great bodies of water across the East Coast that we need to fish. So, Matt, it's been a slice. Thank you again.
Always a pleasure.
We got 5 more weeks in a row to go.
Yes, sir.
We're still waiting to see. I'm not gonna tease or announce next week's guest yet because we're waiting to see if our special guest from this week is going to be able to reschedule. So stay tuned over the next few days. We'll let you know for sure whether it's going to be our top secret guest or one of the other many exciting guests we have lined up for this special series in conjunction with the Maritime Boating and Outdoors Digital Marketplace and Master Promotions. We can't thank you all enough. Matt, I'll see you next time. And ladies and gentlemen,
all right.
For Fish East, I'm Don Patterson. Fish on, or fish on and fish east.